Welcome to the first post of my monthly tier list series. After each month, I will create a tier list ranking each of the movies, shows, games, and books that I watched, played, read that month. Then I challenge myself to write a short little review about that piece of art. So here I am, starting with the September 2025 tier list. We have 9 different works of art for this month, being mostly dominated by some old school games. Each section will contain spoilers for the respective title, so feel free to skip any sections you want to avoid spoilers for. There'll be time codes in the description below. Without further ado, in order of when I finish them, here is my September 2025 tier list. TwinBee is a fun arcade shooter game you can find on the NES NSO app. This is a genre I don't really care for, and TwinBee may be a little generic in terms of gameplay, but I find its theming and overall vibe very entertaining. It's very cutesy with pretty fun music. The villains are all cutesy little things like strawberry spaceships, and it honestly makes the game relaxing, even when you're frustrated from dying. It's pretty short, although technically endless, but its difficulty will make it a tough one to beat. The bell mechanic is cool too. You have to launch these bells and keep them airborne, and they can change colors after being hit, which makes them power-ups. The power-ups are incredibly useful and can help you beat the bosses at the end of levels very quickly. They can also hinder you, such as when you grab too many speed boosts, making it way too hard to control your ship. It's a really cool mechanic that was the most enjoyable part of the game. I'm going to put TwinBee in good tier, 7 out of 10. Dear God, this game is bad. I don't even think it's a case of it aging terribly. I think it was just always bad. The level design is abysmal. The way the character controls is so awful and annoying, and figuring out what to do is near impossible at many points. The only thing I liked about it is how there are different exits and each level isn't one after the other in number order. You jump around a lot and really have to explore it to find the right way or quicker ways. Too bad the game controls terribly, so I hate exploring and just wanted the game to end. Atlantis no Nazo goes in terrible tier. 2 out of 10. Significant improvement over the last game. Donkey Kong Country is a great SNES game and a great platformer in general that really holds up. I love how distinct it feels from the 2D Super Mario series, with different mechanics that really make it stand out. The stages are well designed with entertaining world themes, and the way Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong control is fun. I like how you have to hit enemies to have your roll continue on, allowing for you to speed through some sections. I also really enjoyed the King K. Rool boss fight at the end because it was challenging without being unfair, which is a compliment I can give to many of the later levels as well. I also pleasantly enjoyed finding the hidden secrets. I didn't go for 100% completion, but when I did manage to find one, I always felt accomplished, especially since quite a lot are well hidden. It's just really nice to play a platformer that has functional character controls after the torture I went through with Atlantis no Nazo. I'm putting Donkey Kong Country in great tier. 8 out of 10. Wow, this game is really good. It takes everything good about Donkey Kong Country and improves on it while also adding in other great elements. It's actually super challenging as well, and not in an unfair way like the Lost levels is, but in an engaging and fun way. It feels like a proper sequel in the sense that it kind of assumes you've played the first game and have mastered the platforming and mechanics required already, because it just throws you right in with challenging level designs. I mean, the second world is a damn lava world that feels like it would fit in at the end of a Super Mario Bros. Game. Not just in theming, but in the challengingness of the levels, too. The atmosphere is back and better here, too, and there's even a boss in a previous world that comes back as a ghost in a later one. And it's so fun to see little things like that in games. The Captain K. Rool boss fight was fun as well, even more so than the previous game. I think this game is one of the best platformers Nintendo and gaming as a whole has to offer, and it's even jumped into my top 10 games of all time. I'm putting Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest in perfect tier. 10 out of 10.
And no finish line.
Long Walk is a very depressing film, if that wasn't obvious from its trailers. It had me in tears at multiple points, both from the sadness I felt for these characters and the connections I made to real life. It's not anything revolutionary in terms of what this dystopian has to say, but I don't think that makes it less impactful, especially considering the current political climate we live in and the fact that many films are trying to remove these deeper meanings that help to highlight what's wrong in our world. The novel was seen as a metaphor for the Vietnam War, sending kids over to a pointless, gruesome war under the guise of making America a better place. You can definitely still see that here, but thanks to America being terrible, you can see the connections in many other areas as well. These young men are given the illusion of choice in participating in this walk, when, in reality, it's mandatory, as it's the only way many of them can afford to support their families and themselves. That's, of course, an obvious parallel to how our military operates, since joining it is seen as a choice, but many young people feel pressured into doing it for the promise of money and a better future. We celebrate what they do with fireworks, but nothing is going to give back the suffering they faced by being the bullet of America's gun aimed at the innocent. It's also very clear that the Major wants these kids to turn against each other with this competition, so they don't focus on him, the true villain. Similar to how conservative politicians convince their followers that who they need to go after are the other people suffering, trans people, immigrants, etc. So they will ignore that the politicians have a gun aimed at their head. I mean, one of the walkers is the Major's own son who just wants to be accepted by his father, but his father doesn't care. Also, casting Mark Hamill as this Major is very ironic considering he's an open Zionist celebrating the gruesome death of Palestinians, basically making this not much of acting so much as him playing himself. I really like the ending too. The winner of the wrong kills the Major, and it's not painted as being an unjust or wrong act. A lot of Hollywood films love ending with the hero being a better person than their fascist, murderous leader. It's one of the only things I disliked about Transformers 1. In reality, these types of people can't be changed and don't deserve mercy. Sometimes the only way to make any meaningful change is to not be the bigger person, but instead be willing to take out the people who harm and murder so many others. These people already paint us as the villain and use that to control us and have power over us, so killing them isn't going to harm us by giving them an excuse. They don't need an excuse to murder us, they already fabricate one. The Long Walk is going in great tier, below Donkey Kong Country. 8 out of 10. Had a fun time with this one. This is the first 2D Zelda game I've ever completed. I haven't dabbled much in this series yet, sadly, if that wasn't obvious. This is probably a weird one to start with, as it has a very different mechanic than any other 2D Zelda. The combat and puzzles are more focused on how Zelda can summon objects and enemies to help her. I think this is a really neat mechanic to build the game around, and I think it's well utilized, for the most part. I do think there are instances, especially towards the latter part of the game, where you are really only using a few different echoes for puzzles and combats. The echo menu is also really tough to navigate at times, which just pushed me to continue to solve puzzles and platforming the same way over and over again, even more. I know I'm dragging on it, but the summoning of echoes is still fun and well utilized despite these flaws. The dungeons are well done too, and I never found them boring, but none necessarily stand out in my mind either. The story is interesting and fun to follow, and it's nice to have a Zelda game where you finally play as Zelda. I also got to dress as a kitty cat, so add another point just for that alone. I'm putting The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom in great tier, right above Donkey Kong Country. 8 out of 10. Fun little Game Boy game that I don't have much to say about. It's a little arcade shooter that is relatively fun for a Game Boy shooter like this. I enjoy how the power-up system works, the music is great, the bosses are fun, and the course layouts are pretty interesting. It's nothing special or something I'll probably remember, but I'd still say it's a good time. That's all I really got for this game. Gradius, the Interstellar Assault is going in good tier, below TwinBee, 7 out of 10. This was a weird one. The movie definitely has a voice and knows what it wants to say. Its problem is that it has trouble actually using that voice. The film, on a deeper level, explores how society pushes people to perfection, not just in football. We feel that pressure from parents, idols, and the ones in charge of said thing. The film paints this desire of ours as putting us in a religious cult. Him is trying to say all this, but the problem is that it doesn't succeed in it. A lot of the metaphors and imagery are way too on the nose, and it comes across as, for lack of a better way to explain it, cringy. This one scene where they recreate the Last Supper is a very good example of that. By that point, the religious cult overtones had been well established to the audience, so adding that really didn't help elevate that imagery or make it stronger. There are many moments like that in the film that just make it feel like a long drag, despite it having a relatively short runtime. Him also doesn't use its comedy well, and it feels like tonal whiplash. Comedy can be used well in a horror film. Look at Weapons for a recent example. But here it really takes you out because it's not executed in a natural way. To give this film some praise, though, I do think it has very cool and interesting artistic visuals, but that doesn't make up for the lackluster rest of the movie. I'm putting him in bad tier. 4 out of 10.
God damn it! Viva la revolution!
One Battle After Another is an excellent film. As the name implies, once this movie truly starts, it just keeps going and doesn't let you breathe. It perfectly blends action, comedy, and suspense to craft a beautiful blend of a movie. Its theming is also really topical for the times in a meaningful way that helps to create the suspense. Obviously, these things have been an issue for a while, but they've become even more prevalent with our current government. I love that the film doesn't shy away from the police and military heads being corrupt. They paint all of them as harmful to the community, and I respect that they don't hold back on that at all. This is definitely one of those films we need right now to help highlight just how corrupt our law enforcement is. It's filled with white supremacist Nazis who love to paint minorities and those who stand against them as enemies. The film uses all this to captivate an incredible story of a loving father and daughter whose situation, which they never asked to be in, seems inescapable. DiCaprio is great in this role and delivers his humorous dialogue very well. Chase Infinity is also great here in her debut movie role. Sean Penn might be the standout here as the white supremacist, though. His mannerisms and movements alone help paint him as just an incredible fucking stupid asshole. It's crazy how he can do that with just his walk, basically. He plays just the right amount of scary, evil, and absolutely stupid that the character of a white supremacist given military power requires. Thanks to the great acting, writing, directing, and score, I'm going to put One Battle After Another in perfect tier, below Donkey Kong Country 2. 10 out of 10. And that's all I did in September. Do you agree with my placements, or are you now raging at your screen? Either way, feel free to let me know how you feel about these artworks in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe so you won't miss next month's video. I also post media analysis and gameplays of games I like, including ones talked about here, if you're interested in that. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Bye.